Raging River was once one of the weakest rapids rides out there. Located at Six Flags Great Escape, this water ride always had a great setting, but it was possible to come off bone dry. However, in recent years, it was plussed with some additional theming and water effects. In this review, I will explain why this rapids ride is much improved and now above average. Raging River opened back in 1986. The ride was positioned towards the back of the park and brilliantly placed in the woods. For this reason, you can't see much of the ride from the main midway, but you can see snippets of it from the queue line and the pathway that leads to the picnic pavilion. For many years, this ride had barely any signage. There was just an opening in the fence behind a rock wall and an itty-bitty white sign. Recently, the park gave this ride a proper entrance. It was moved closer to the main midway, and there's now a large archway bearing the ride's name. Further down the queue, there's a rock formation with a waterfall, and in front of it, there's a canoe also sporting the ride's name. Alongside both, you'll also see some animal statues. These were added not only to the queue line, but also alongside the ride path. They are not too large nor fancy, but it gives some extra things to look at while navigating the layout. If you visit on a hot day, Raging River will likely have one of the park's longest lines midday. Do not be surprised if it reaches the half-hour mark, but there are a few ways to avoid a long wait. First, head here early. Since it's towards the back of the park, it is usually a near walk-on for the first 1 to 2 hours. Second, head here towards the end of the night. Not many people want to get wet near closing time. Third, ride this at 3:30. That is weirdly specific, but let me explain. Raging River closes from 3 to 3:30 daily for a midday inspection, so if you enter the queue when it reopens, you should board quickly. Fourth, use the paid Go Fast Pass Skip the Line system. This brings you directly to the load platform. This uses a continuously moving turntable to load multiple rafts simultaneously, and there is usually a good amount on the course at once. Each raft holds up to 6 guests. Once seated, you are secured by a seatbelt. It is worth noting that loose articles and bags can be stored in cubbies on the load platform. This is worth noting because so many water rides nowadays have riders bring their belongings with them, much to the dismay of guests who want to keep things dry. Once dispatched, you pass underneath the queue line and you travel past some water cannons. These can get you wet if guests pay to use them, but they're usually unmanned because of how far down the midway they are. You then round a corner and realize the current moves the boat at a swifter clip than a lot of other rapids rides. This also causes the boat to spin more. This gives the ride good pacing. You then have a few mild rapids that'll send small splashes into the boat. As you approach a straightaway, there's a larger rapid that'll hit those going backwards with a sizable splash. This is definitely the best rapid on the ride. You then slowly flow past these arched fountains. Each one goes progressively further, so while the first few do not even reach the raft, the final few will pass over and hit riders. It's a gentle stream, but it'll get your upper body damp if you're facing them. You then pick up steam and travel deeper into the woods. You pass an assortment of animal statues on the way and hit a few rapids that'll bounce the boat. You then pass through this nice looking rock canyon. I suspect there may have been a waterfall here at one point, but now it's all about the visuals. Next is another long straightaway, with some more rapids that'll send sprinkles into the boat. The far turn is fairly exposed in a field, but there are a few additional statues and additional rapids. Now it's time for the finale. This is where you can get soaked. There is this comically unthemed PVC pipe extending towards the raft. It dumps a thick and heavy stream of water. Those closest to it will get absolutely soaked. Those opposite of it may still get really wet if the water splashes across the boat. But that's not all. You then pass underneath a footbridge that gives access to a watchtower. But that bridge was outfitted with a waterfall. It's not a giant deluge. Picture a hose with a bunch of punctures spraying downward. That's closer to what it does, and it'll hit the entire boat, getting everyone wet. These two effects were not there a decade ago. It was once possible to come off this ride bone dry. That is no longer possible, which is a positive thing on those hot summer days. You then have one last rapid that'll send a mild splash into the boat. Then you float towards the lift hill and are slowly lifted back to the load platform, ending the experience. Start to finish, the ride is roughly 4 to 4.5 minutes in duration, which is solid for this type of ride. So, what would I rate Raging River? I would give this Rapids ride a 7 out of 10. This is a good installation that's now above average because of all the love it has received in recent years. This includes some theming and additional water effects. The latter ensure that everyone gets wet, which used to be a problem. Those are paired with a course that always had a wonderfully wooded setting and a quick current. The main reason it does not score higher is because the rapids themselves are not too big or soaking relative to other installations. So those are my thoughts on Raging River, the Intamin River Rapids ride at Great Escape. What are your thoughts on this ride and its recent upgrades? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there will be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.